Hello, hello, hello. This is supposed to be my 5 o'clock New York time, everyday live streaming TV webcast. Today it's my 5:45 live streaming everyday webcast. And I thank you for your patience, but I think you're going to find it'll be well rewarded. Oh my God. Oh my God. OPEC is cracking up. Hang on a second. I've had one of those amazing days that sometimes you have in life where kind of all the pieces fall in place. Let me explain. It started with my getting a call in my daily trade update. And I do that for our terminal subscribers. And that's where we talk about the markets and my opinions in great detail. And, you know, we examine what the markets are doing. And I really let the shows get interrupted. Every once in a while I'll take a quick phone call or a message. But that's about it. You know, I'm a busy guy. And my subscribers know that. But today, I have a very important contact that has been developed over many, many years. And it's one of those person-to-person relationships you have in life. I know you know what I'm talking about, okay? And it's value for value. I'm pretty good at what I do. He's pretty good at what he does. So there's a sharing of information for the mutual benefit, if you can read between the lines. And he called me. He goes, listen. He goes, there's a lot of pre-meetings around here. Forget the bullshit in the press room. He said, there's a war going on here. The main players, the big producers, are pushing a 1.5 million barrel per day cut in production and prepared to do it. I'm sorry, increase in production. It's hard for me to talk about OPEC increasing production. I mean, it's my synapse in my brain saying, no, OPEC has always cut production. When's the last time you heard about OPEC increasing production and meaning going to war over it? Well, let me tell you what's going on. The global economy is very fragile this time. And we're at $100, $120, $130 a barrel oil. You'd hear the screams of pain and inflation and economy shutting down. This time, we're at $80 a barrel, say the basis on the OPEC Brent price peaking. And you had people rioting in the streets of Brazil and Latin America, demonstrations, and a real crisis, okay? A real crisis. And the reason why is the economy is fragile globally, sucking shut as we know. And we got trade wars going on, and you got business slowing down. You got central banks in the world over trying to cut back the quantum easing, and U.S. leading raising rates. So it's been a real problem time. OPEC actually got a call, mainly Saudi Arabia, from Donald Trump, and I've been told it wasn't the friendliest call, demanding 3 times now that they stop this oil price and bring it down because his polling has shown that, oh my God, it's creating problems for Trumpians. And Donald Trump needs to get elected more than he needs oxygen so he can try to save his presidency and his life and his ways and all this stuff. And so he's got himself a problem, as we all know, okay? So let me tell you what's going on here. So there's another side of this, and we've done a lot of this material on this for you. The other side is this, that there's there's a real discussion here about what's going on with U.S. fracking. And all of a sudden they figured out, oh my God, fracking is really, really, really coming on stream. And they're punching holes, and they're figuring out how to bring this oil to market. And we have got ourselves a great big problem. That's from the Russian perspective. As I reported to you earlier, Russia and Saudi Arabia were going to bring in a 1.5 million barrel per day increase in supply to the market and prepare to go to 2 million. And although they go, well, we don't know, maybe we can do it, we'll work real hard, it's a slam dunk, easy deal. Now, that's on top of the 1 million barrel per day to 1.5 million barrel per day increase we expect between now and the end of the year U.S. production. So we're putting 3 million barrels of extra product on the market, and OPEC damn knows this. The Iranians are outraged because they really need this high price. OPEC's projection says that, they could bring oil back down to 40, 30, the high 30s, $40 a barrel oil. Now, as far as, that's by the way, based on Brent, and the Iranians go, oh, hell no, we're enjoying 80, we don't want 40. And basically there's a big confrontation. Now, here's how this is going. It turns out that Russia is should we say, a guest member? Now, let me tell you about Russia. Russia plays an evil game, okay? Donald Trump's trying to duplicate that, by the way, and we'll see how that works out for him. Russia's game is they'll do any treaty, any deal, as long as it suits Russian purposes. As soon as it doesn't, they can tell you, kiss my ass, we're a nuclear power, we're going to do what I want, and if it was invading a country or whatever, they're prepared to do it. And that is the strength of Russia. They are really, there's no rules, there's no honesty, there's no right, there's no agreements that they honor. It's the world's second biggest nuclear power, and they're a bully, and they act like it. And right now, it suited their purposes to get the oil price higher, but now it's been too high for too long. And here's a little secret for you. It no longer suits their purposes. Now, why is that? Well, because I said, as their analysis, you have to understand that from a Russian's perspective, what you fear more than anything else in the world is America. Russia over and over and over again has counted America out and never had America go out. I mean, the mighty America just keeps coming at you. Depressions, civil war, wars around the world are very costly. The American economic model is so mighty and so powerful and truly the genius of capitalism that they're constantly stunned. Every time they think debt crisis or banking crisis, America's going down, it comes back mightier than ever. So they have a strange relationship. They have an awe, a fear, and a respect of America all rolled into one, along with their hatred, okay? Russians hate Americans, okay? Bottom line. It's ingrained in their DNA. No matter what they tell you, no matter what they act, that's a reality. Now, Russia's problem is this. To their horror, more and more production keeps coming on stream. America's figured out how to get oil on trains, on trucks, on barges, on barf boats, whatever it takes. They're moving oil, moving a lot of oil, and America's starting to take market. And well, do the Russians understand it? So much so that what they quietly did was they agreed to greatly increase the natural gas supply that is going to be going into Europe next year. Did they forget to tell you that? Yeah. As American LPG products started hitting the LNG product started hitting the marketplace and being imported through Greece and Italy and Spain and Spanish ports, Russians took notice and holy shit. By the way, we're going to lower our price and we're going to go ahead and up our commitment to you for next winter. Why? There are footsteps of America. Now, Russia's smart enough to know that liquid natural gas that's compressed on those huge tankers that's plying the seas, well, that's as a result of fracking, okay? And before the Russians had it engineered along with OPEC that a lot of the natural gas that America produced, most of it, went up in those big flares. You've been through the flaring towers wherever you see the oil business. Well, that's basically natural gas going up in flames. Why? Because there's no place to go with it. America is choking on natural gas. The price continues to go down, and because of vested interests both of the refineries and of the oil lobby, that natural gas was never used as transportation fuel. I mean, by the way, General Motors 40 years ago tested natural gas buses in Detroit, tore down the engines, did expensive testing, and said, look at this. These engines look like brand new. Look at this. There's no wear. Look at this. It's really a great fuel, okay? So the secret is that although natural gas is in abundant supply, it still has not made great inroads as transportation fuel in America. Now, that's not true in the rest of the world. This all ties into this because Russia realized the natural gas threat. Remember, they're Europe's natural gas producer. They're Europe's largest natural gas supplier. Russia has vast fields of natural gas, okay? And it's in pipeline access. See, Russia's smart enough to know the equation is you build a pipeline. Now, you see, for a Russian to build a pipeline, they go in there and they go, hi, we're the Russian government. Move your ass. We're running this pipeline through your farm. Oh, you have a problem with it? No problem. And then you end up dead or in the gulag, and the pipe goes through, so no one questions anything. There's no building permits. There's no, oh, my dead ancestors are buried here. None of that bullshit. We're running the pipeline. No ecology, no impact study. No one cares about the walrus or the spotted owl or any of that bullshit. Russia says they're building a pipeline, and they built a pipeline. So they built the Trans-Siberian pipeline that now delivers natural gas and oil all the way to China. Yeah, kind of amazing thing, huh? So now the threat is that, oh, wait a minute, we're hearing footsteps of America? We thought we had them in the box. So now the high price has driven their model where they're going, oh, shit, there is a lot of oil and a lot of oil coming. Now remember, Russia has satellites trained on our oil fields day and night. They have spies and their best assets in the business. Okay, Russia collects a massive amount of information about American oil industry. They know more about it than a lot of the CEOs of the oil companies do. And their information is, listen, there's a boom going on here. This is just the tip of the iceberg of this production, and it's basically production coming on stream. This is a high price. So all of a sudden, Russia's going, here, listen, guys, this $80 a barrel Brent is a real problem. We've got to get this thing back down again. And guys are going, what are you talking about? We're having a party here. He goes, no. We got to get this back down again. And the Saudis are like, well, we're trying to get off this IPO, and we got a real problem with our enemies in Yemen, and, we're fighting the Iranians, and we got an old family feud between the Shiites and the Sunnis, and we need lots of money. And they go, well, you have to do it. So then the Saudis got a tap on the shoulder, and that was Trump going, hello? Remember the sword dance? Well, let me tell you, brother sword dancer, this price is too high. I'm facing election, and you got to bring it down. So Saudis going, well, you don't tell Donald Trump after the sword dance no. And so there was a consensus formed. In many meetings that went on in the past few months between high-ranking officials of the oil companies of Russia, which are basically Putin's franchises, and even the Crown Prince, that's Mr. Electrode Buddy, and Putin himself, okay? And the conclusion came that, okay, we're going to have to resupply this market. We got no choice. The Russians want it. They're pulling out. I've wanted it. Trump wants it, and we're going to do it. So they floated the idea of raising production 1.5 million barrels per day. And Iran went, what? And all the little producers go, what? Say what? Say what? Say what? In Nigeria, they talk like that. So what happened was they realized that they would suffer massive declines in the price of oil. Now, they arrange this orderly, and they bring it up before they bring it down and make it a trading cycle and play all those games you're supposed to play, as an oil price manipulator. But on balance, $40 barrel of oil, here we come. So now there is a war there. OPEC is claiming that, Russia's not even a member. And remember, there are three major producers of oil in the world, only three. Everyone else produces half. In the 10 million barrel per day club, there is the Saudi Arabians, there's the Russians, and there's a brand new player, Americans. Now, it used to be that the largest producers in the world were all part of OPEC, okay? And they were like little peas in a pod. I mean, they were just like so comfortable together, and they really loved each other, and there was peace and joy and harmony, right? Then along comes Russian, and frankly, OPEC doesn't like Russia. Many of them have suffered under Russia's way of doing business, should we say, and Russian intrigue, should we say. So there's no love lost there. But now you got another problem. You got America. Who in the hell thought America would be in the $10 million barrel a day club? Well, it's there. Fracking did it. So what happened? Well, you got 2/3 of the oil production is no longer in OPEC in essence, okay? And their share of the amount of oil they supply the world has been falling, and now there's this demand that from a non-OPEC member, Russia, to dramatically increase supply. Well, guess what? I understand that all hell broke loose. So they have the pre-meetings, and the pre-meetings, this is where they get the family laundry out and they air their dirty clothes. But when it comes time for the statement, everybody's all smiles and patting each other on the back. That ain't happening. And there's a real issue about what is going to be the shape of this meeting, which starts tomorrow. And there's a real issue on, even if they come to some kind of agreement that appears to an agreement, it's not going to really be an agreement, okay? And that the entire cartel is going to get busted by this huge, substantial, incredible increase in oil being produced by the United States. And now Russia wants to come to the party, and they're going to produce more, and the Saudis are going to produce more, and the other OPEC members who are very consistent producers, okay? They're going to, listen, let me tell you something. When you're in Nigeria, and you're other OPEC in Libya, and you're these other members, okay? Even Iraq, you're producing all the oil you can every day, okay? Every day you're producing as much as you can. There's no holdback, there's no quotas, don't make bullshit, you're producing a shit out of oil. So the heavy lifting has always been done by the Gulf states, especially Saudi Arabia, and by the new two-ton gorilla on the block, the Russians. So now what's happening is they are absolutely going dipshit, apeshit crazy because they can't stop this production. They cannot stop an increase from coming. That is the last thing they ever wanted to have happen. And now they have no idea in the world what to do. There are people talking about, just let's get a new OPEC going of these smaller producers. There is talk about production increases not being shared by members. Okay, in other words, what's happening is the other suppliers say, well, we want to be compensated. There's actually talk of a two-tier pricing system. So all of a sudden, OPEC is in complete disarray. I've never seen this before. This is hell on wheels. This is a big deal. See, OPEC could always count, even when the members were at war with each other. How about that? How about a cartel that's so powerful that the members are at war with each other and they're still agreeing on what their production quotas and cuts are, okay? Now there's no agreement. Now there is a possibility of a free-for-all. Now remember, there is incredible pressure on the world oil supply, okay? And it's a situation that although inventories are reported down and all that nice stuff, reality is truly this. Oil prices are way too high, and oil production is really ramping back up, okay? And the American frackers are changing the whole equation. Now remember, quietly, the Saudis have increased their production capacity by 1 to 2 million barrels per day. With the pipeline delivery systems available, Russia now got another 1 to 2 million barrels per day. And as I pointed out to you earlier, you can project in the next year another 1.5 to 2 million barrels per day increase in U.S. production. So now you're back to an oil market that is still oversupplied. If you take out, say, Venezuela, taking out 1.5. If you take out Iran, you're taking out another 0.5. That's, if you can, that's 2 million. Well, guess what? Russia's already ready to pick that up. Now you add another 1.5 million that can come out of our beautiful friends, the Saudis. Never mind all the pissants ones, just Saudis. And now you got America that is looking to increase in the next 12 months between 1 and 2 million barrels a day. The whole oil equation is knocked on its ass. It's a whole other world there. And the OPEC members really don't know what to do. A lot of the minor players, the guys that are producing a couple, 3 million barrels a day, feel like it's a conspiracy against them. Because, let me tell you a little secret. One of the greatest lies of mankind is how much oil production there really is and how much demand really is. And one of the big secrets is that we have no chance of running out. Remember, OPEC say, well, listen, we need to rebalance the oil price and get the market high because, in 5 years, we project we're going to run out of oil. How many times have you heard that bullshit about peak oil? I mean, it's just unbelievable. All my life, we've been running out of everything. We're going to run out of gold, we're going to run out of silver. I remember we're going to run out of copper, we're going to run out of aluminum, we ain't running out of shit. Okay, the only thing we're running out of is people to tell the truth. That's the thing that's in short supply here. So now, in the bowels of Wall Street, where the real numbers are known and discussed, they realize that their only chance here is to bring the price back down again. Let me tell you a little secret. Russia believes that if oil goes down below $40 a barrel, they can put the frackers right back in an economic crisis. Russia is not stupid, and they realize that, hey, wait a minute. You've got a situation here where these oil companies have a lot of debt. It's going to be refinanced at a much higher rate. That's a burden. You've got a situation where the stock market is not going to be kind to them, and just maybe, $30 to $40 barrel oil will knock enough of them off that we will regain market share. See, Russia doesn't look. Okay, you look at, and I look at market share and price, right? Russia doesn't give a shit about that. See, Russia has got a ruble-based oil economy, okay, and the ruble is trading at 60 to the dollar. So from a Russian standpoint, they still got the highest price ever for oil vis-a-vis the ruble. Remember, all the oil workers, all their pipes, all their infrastructure, all their costs are ruble-based. And in a ruble-based world, well, they've come from a ruble that has been down as low as 56 ruble to the dollar, okay? And now it takes 63 ruble to buy a dollar. So that means that increase in the decrease in the value of the ruble increases what their oil is giving them, okay? Because remember, they're taking a dollar value and going back to a ruble. So from the production standpoint, they're going, yeah, baby, we don't have a problem, okay? We're going to approach 65 rubles to the dollar, and that means that the oil in ruble terms is still at a very high price, even if it goes down significantly. Got it? So that's a whole other world. Now, the Saudis, well, their problem is they got to keep a lot of balls in the air. And the main situation is that they can steal market share from everybody. See, the little secret is the Saudis can make up, listen to me carefully, for a lower price by an increase supply to market. And guess what? The other oil producers can't do that. See, they can't ramp up. They're producing all they can produce. So, see, from their standpoint, this is maximum revenue. When oil prices fall 25, 30, 40, or 50%, that's a cut for them. But for the Saudis, if they produce 10, 15, 20, 30% more oil, they, in essence, are not seeing that much of a drop in their gross revenues. So when you look at the price, it's also price versus volume. And these are the Russians have the ability, as do the Saudis, to increase their volume to make up for any shortfall. Other producers don't have that luxury. So now you can understand that there's a big split in OPEC cartel, and the smaller producers really feel like they're being screwed, and they are adamantly against increases in production. They're adamantly against this change that's going on, and they're fighting tooth and nail to no avail. See, how many nuclear weapons does OPEC have? None. How many nuclear weapons does Russia have? 5,000. Who is the world's biggest supplier of oil right now? Well, Russia, right? They've actually beat out the Saudis. So who can tell you, kiss my ass goodbye, I'm going to do what I want? The Russians. The Saudis are smart to realize that and say, there's no need to get hasty here. We can work this out. Let me see what we can do. And so now all of a sudden, they're looking at a different way of handling the oil equation. How do you like that? So it's a whole different ballgame. And people are now starting to figure out that, well, wait a minute. There is a big odd shit going on here. And this odd shit's growing and growing. And our good friends may not be our friends anymore. And now the serious discussion among the Saudis, everybody saying, listen, we're 3 times the highest member production. Each one of us, we produce 3 times what the next member does. Who needs them? Why screw with them? If you and I get together, we're more than half of OPEC's production. What do we need this for? And there's, now all the other sides are going, wait a minute. Are we hearing talk that there's going to be an OPEC within an OPEC? And that's the story today. Yes, there is going to be an OPEC within OPEC. And the OPEC within OPEC has a different set of rules. Hear me carefully. A different dynamic, a different equation, a different profit point, a different production goal, and all of it's based on what? What's soon going to be an oil price war. Hello, let me repeat this again. Soon, among OPEC producers, and that, by the way, I've seen that happen in the OPEC cartel many times in the past, but not like this, where all of a sudden it's like, uh-oh, you want out? Yeah, we're done. We've had a good party. Goodbye. We're done. It was a nice run. We can keep OPEC and you keep the logo on the wall, but reality is that we're done. We're done. We are going to set our own price. We're going to go our own way. We are a much bigger part of the oil equation than you are. We are a hell of a lot bigger producer. Who needs you? Goodbye. And all of a sudden, people are starting to realize that, is there going to be life after OPEC? And people aren't so sure anymore. And this is the scoop. The story is that we're very close for the OPEC cartel in its ability to control prices to crack up. Now, I'm sure they'll try to save face, okay? So we'll have an OPEC meeting tomorrow We should get a communique over the weekend. But the important story is what our sources are telling us. In other words, it's like, screw you, Iran. We're increasing the amount of oil we're going to produce. Now, Iran has come back and said, well, okay, if you must do this, we don't agree with it, then why don't we just try to do something reasonable, like keeping it to like 300,000 barrels a day? And OPEC realized, no, he's going to buy that bullshit. I mean, that's a nice little game to play, but it's not going to work. It is not going to change the equation. It's got to be 1 million or more, and that's the kind of numbers we're talking about. Now, let me tell you and I about what we're looking at. 1 million barrel a day increase in oil out of OPEC, coupled with another 1 million coming out of America, and the fact that Donald Trump is, you might notice something. Have you noticed that Donald Trump is not talking about Iranian sanctions so much anymore? Okay, so there's talk that he's just going to kind of paste over this. You remember, like the immigration crisis, with the little girl with her shoelaces being taken off so she doesn't, at 2 years old, strangle herself? That's America. Proud moment, huh? Hey, Mr. Holmes, can you give me that badge? Let me polish it for you. Proud, that's something you want to be proud to have on your chest. Okay? Forever be known as the oppressors of children. You're kind of ugly, huh? Well, you get what you bargained for, So anyway, we are now looking at what is an internal strife in OPEC, unlike anything we've ever seen before. And the strife is getting uglier and building bigger. And hello, we might have a huge collapse in the price of oil. I've seen this many times. I've traded for it many times. Sometimes they bust your balls and take it up before they take it down and all that. But reality is, OPEC's got a price that's higher than it can be sustained. OPEC has got a market that cannot continue this insanity, and they know it. So now all of a sudden, we're faced with an OPEC that's no longer a unified pricing or price-fixing mechanism. See, let me tell you the mistake OPEC made. When you let the Russian bear come in your house, he's going to chew on your furniture. Okay, he's going to maul you. He just can't help himself. So they brought Russia in. What's happened? Russia's been sitting down in meetings where they have inside information. They know what the real production numbers are. They really do. And Russia's a vacuum cleaner picking up data. And let me tell you something. Russian analysts are some of the smartest in the world. That's what keeps Putin alive and in power. So we're now walking into the situation where it's like, uh-oh. And the whole oil business and the whole supply-demand equation is weeks away from being thrown on its ass. Now, that's information. If you're smart enough to know what to do, it can be worth quite a bit of money. If you don't know what it's supposed to do, well, then you need to find out, okay? Because this is a big shitting deal. OPEC is in complete disarray. They are at war with each other. They do not know what to do. And they're even having a hard time figuring out whether or not they're going to even come to a consensus, which is something OPEC always likes to do. They always like to show a nice, pretty picture. No dissension. Everyone's on board. We all love each other. And right now, there's a war in OPEC like we've never seen before. There's disarray, and there's serious talk about a break of OPEC. Now, as far as I'm concerned, as far as it's a pricing mechanism, that day is here. What changed the balance of the equation? Well, there's really two things. I like to take most of the credit for American fracking, which is a brilliant technology that's changed the oil equations, oil production figures, everything about oil on its ass. But there's another side of it, and that is that in recent years, under the management of a very smart Putin, Russia has modernized its oil industry where it's now a world-class event. And it now has the capacity to deliver a lot more oil than most people realize. And remember, it's all about volume. It's volume times price, right? The lower the price, the higher the volume, you can still make the same amount of money. Because for OPEC, for most OPEC members, it's settled business. They have gone as far as they can go. They're producing as much as they can, and that's it. But for the Saudis, well, they've invested huge amounts of money increasing the reduction capacity. By the way, which is a state secret, but you could throw around a number of a capacity to pump 3 million barrels a day more oil than they are right now, and can ramp that up in a matter of 30 to 60 days. Russia literally opens a valve And U.S. frackers, well, the frackers is a little harder. They're solving delivery problems. They're solving pipelines. They're punching holes. But, once you punch the hole and it starts flowing, it starts flowing. Nobody builds an oil well to leave the oil on the ground, okay? And sometimes economically they end up doing that, but not now. So this is a game that by the way, let me just mention something else for you. Once you capitalize the well, once you frack it, once you get it in place, it's an elementary discussion with the prices. That well is producing high, that well is producing low, that well is producing, okay? Yeah, so we'll see. Same about gold miners. We're like, well, gold miners can't afford to possibly bring gold this cheap to the market. Bullshit. They can't. Let me tell you a secret. They can't afford not to. OPEC, Saudi Arabia, Russia, American frackers, they've got no choice. They've got to supply this market no matter what the price is, and they will. Prepare yourself for OPEC ripping apart the seams and what's going to be a major collapse in the price of oil.